तो पूर्व वित्त मंत्री पी चिदम्बरम और सुरजेवाला एक साथ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं। आपको दिखाते हैं किस तरीके का माहौल चल रहा है।
They are persisting with this Income Tax Act, and there is no indication that the Direct Taxes Code will be enacted soon. Remember, there are 3 drafts of the Direct Taxes Code, one updated upon the other, lying on the table of the Finance Minister of the BJP government for the last 5 years. And actually what they have done is extensively amend the Income Tax Act, increasing compliance burdens on the taxpayer and giving extraordinary powers to the tax collector, which we completely disagree with.
You, ma'am.
Last year, they lost revenues of about 1,60,000 crore. It is not acknowledged anywhere in the budget. In fact, even the budget at a glance does not acknowledge that number. But we know from the Controller of Government Accounts report that the revenues were lower by 1,60,000 crore. Now this year, again they are making budget estimates for a rise in the tax revenues as well as the non-tax revenues. Obviously, at the moment, I have no explanation of how these rises are justified. But clearly, the increase in the taxes on petrol and diesel, an increase in customs duties is intended to shore up the revenues. But ordinarily, a finance minister will say that the ARM, the additional resource mobilization, will get me so many thousand crore. That statement is absent. So one has to sit down and calculate how much revenues they're going to raise. But the finance minister should have been upfront and said, my ARM is so many crores. I mean, I'm amazed that they don't have the transparency to disclose how much they are raising by these additional taxes. Show me any budget in the past where the ARM number has not been disclosed.
Ma'am.
Well, let's take one by one. Your first question is about FDI. The only paragraph I noticed was FDI in companies is now limited to 24%. They're going to raise it to the sectoral limit for that industry, but gives the option to the investee company to say, no, I will stick to 24% in FPI. As I made in my statement, FPI is not FDI. Now, last year, FDI actually dipped over the previous year. Last year's FDI was about $44 billion or so, which is actually $44.37 billion, which was 1% less than the previous year. Therefore, I don't know how they're going to get FDI. She doesn't say anything about FDI except to say we are encouraging FDI. She has said something about relaxing the rules for single brand retail. Now, what rules are being relaxed? I mean, nothing is clear. This is one of the most opaque speeches. You can't make out what they are trying to do. These are short sentences which doesn't explain what they are trying to do. What is your second question? Is about cash transactions. Yes, this government is obsessed with people must use less cash. We must become a less cash economy. We have pointed out repeatedly that while we must promote a digitization, you cannot force people to use cash. And advanced economies still use a large amount of cash. Germany, for example, 80% of transactions are in cash. In countries like Australia and Canada, it's between 40 to 50% in cash. Now, what will happen is, not extensively, but what will happen is, people who want to use cash will shy away from putting it in a bank. They will just keep it at home. Or do some private money lending, where they can take back the cash at short notice. Well, what they have done is not a tax, it's a tax deduction. So to be adjusted against your ultimate tax liability. But I don't, while I agree that digitization must be promoted, any kind of forced use of cash is going to be counterproductive.
Sayed.
Do you remember when Aadhaar was made compulsory for income tax assessees, we said, well, PAN is already there. Why do you want to make it Aadhaar? Now they are saying Aadhaar is good enough, PAN is not necessary. What kind of a comedy is this? If PAN and Aadhaar serve the same purpose, if PAN is as good as Aadhaar and Aadhaar is as good as PAN, there was already PAN for income tax assessees. Why did you amend the Income Tax Act to compulsorily link Aadhaar with PAN? And now you're saying it's either Aadhaar or PAN. I mean, obviously, this government amends the law first and then thinks. If PAN and Aadhaar are equally efficient or equally good, then why did you make all this song and dance about linking Aadhaar with PAN? I mean, I can't understand. See, you can't hide it forever. Obviously, people will look at it in the evening, in the night, and find the numbers in that bulky budget documents. But for the large number of people who are listening to the speech, I mean, they are not getting these budget documents. MPs get it, officials get it, think tanks get it. I suppose you can buy a set of documents, but for the lakhs and lakhs of people who are listening to a budget speech, you don't tell them what the total expenditure of this government is, what the total revenue is, what the fiscal deficit is. What are you afraid of? Why are you keeping people in the dark? I mean, I will do research now tonight and wade through the document and find the number. But I couldn't find the number between, say, 1:15 and 4:30 because I had to prepare the statement. But I think it's unfair, it's unethical not to disclose these numbers in Parliament. Well, I understood the first question. The claim is that NPAs come down by 1 lakh. That's correct. a little over 10% has become a little over 8%. But please remember, in the 5 years of Modi 1.0 government, banks wrote off 5,55,603 crore rupees. Wrote off. So while the finance minister claimed that we have reduced NPA by 1 lakh crore, she should have also said in the same period, banks have written off rupees 5,55,603 crore. Why didn't she say that? I don't know. What is the second question? Just one.
The
What's
second
question? Oh, she brought a file. Yeah, but take it from me, a Congress finance minister will in future bring an iPad.
सर आज तक कभी बजट में ऐसा देखा नहीं गया कि डिफेंस रिलेटेड टॉपिक्स को शुरुआत से लेकर के अंत तक डिस्कस ना किया गया हो। इस बजट में सिर्फ एक चीज का जिक्र था डिफेंस से रिलेटेड कि डिफेंस रिलेटेड प्रोक्यूरमेंट्स अगर होते हैं बाहर से इंपोर्ट किए जाते हैं तो उसमें छूट मिलेगी, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली डिफेंस रिलेटेड कुछ बातें हैं नहीं इस बजट में। उसको लेकर क्या करें?
Yeah, I don't even know what is the allocation for defense. Unless one of you knows it. I will know by tonight or tomorrow when I go through the expenditure budget. But
चलिए इस बुलेटिन में इतना ही। नमस्कार।